Hi, it's Keiko at ktmholistichealth.com, and today I wanted to share my HTMA testing package information and process so you have a good idea of what it's like to work with me in the process. So, if you decide to get your package, and actually go ahead and go download your quick start guides. I tell you how to prepare your hair sample, and if you dye your hair, you want to wait like 8 weeks. So you'll want to get all that information ahead of time. So yeah, go do that first, and you can always contact me by email or through the contact form on my website. Okay, so let's say you get the HTMA package. The HTMA package will include both the hair collection kit in the lab as well as a consult and analysis with me. So let me just tell you what you get. So I will end up sending you the collection kit. So it will have the scale, envelope, and there is a video on how to collect your hair sample, but I also give you the printed version as well as kind of the submission instruction, the envelope to send to the lab, as well as a requisition form which you will have to fill out. Okay, and at any point if you have questions you can always contact me. Okay, so once you send this back to the lab, it depends on how busy the lab is. So I will keep you posted on all of that. And then once I get the results back from the lab, what I first do is I, look at your report, and then I'll do an analysis on it and kind of see what's kind of popping out and really wanting attention. And so, we were always trained to do a full intake first. I actually don't do a full intake because I like to see what the hair analysis data is telling me first without, looking for something. So I really actually like, and not everybody agrees with this at all. So, if you like doing the intake, and you're welcome to give me, information about you and, your top challenges, but I actually don't do I used to, but I don't anymore, the whole intake with all the questions. So I actually get a really nice, clean, fresh look at the data, and I kind of look at the data and go, what's the story here? What's it telling me? And then I do my own analysis, and I'll look at your data and I will write this up. So usually the lab will give you, this is actually a sample so I can show it to you. The lab will give you this mineral level chart and then also the ratio. I actually love this ratio, and this is usually where I look first. So what I do is I write in kind of the ideal range for you so it's easier for you to understand and what these ratios stand for. I usually pencil all that in, and then I'll just take a picture of this part, and then I'll do a little write-up of what pops. Usually about 3-4 things that really kind of stand out. And I put it in words that, are more like something I would talk to you about versus what a lab report might say. It's usually a little easier to understand. And then I do also look at this part here, which is the mineral levels. And I'll usually I'll pencil in the ideal range, take a picture of this, and if anything pops out, I usually mention that. And then kind of depending on what I see, I'll just point out like, well, this is kind of what it looks like to me, but, I want to talk to you about it, obviously. So once I get the analysis of my stuff done, and then if there are things that kind of pop in right away, like I'm like, well, okay, this area will be good to support, I'll mention all those. But then I like to get on a Zoom call with you and talk to you and go over the results, and then ask you, more questions. And a lot of times, the report really confirms what you've been feeling, that maybe like, you've been trying to get help, but they haven't been able to kind of, confirm it for you. Because in the mineral analysis and levels and ratios, it's a really good early indicator, because when you think about it, your hair is not tightly regulated like your blood. So, your blood is very tightly regulated, and so it has to stay within a certain range for your body to be able to function. Whereas the hair, it's kind of like it's pushing it out. So, whatever minerals are showing up there isn't tightly regulated. So it's more of an early indicator of what your body's kind of signaling and telling us. So a lot of times what I'll see is like, like the adrenal ratios and the thyroid ratios being pretty kind of out of range on the mineral analysis, but those won't usually show on the blood work yet. But a lot of times, we already feel the symptoms, or, something's just not quite right. So anyway, I get on a call with you and we talk about, what I'm seeing on the results, and then you tell me what you're feeling. And then we kind of talk about, okay, well, how do we want to address it? I've got some ideas for you. What are you comfortable doing? And then I usually come up with, we kind of talk, obviously, and get, your input and any other also pressing issues. So the mineral analysis, hair analysis doesn't always cover everything. So if you have, other more pressing symptoms that aren't necessarily covered, I have a health coach background and training, and so we can always address those as well. And so that can get incorporated into the action plan ideas. And then and then I'll pretty much, after we get off the call, I'll help you, if you're like, well, I'm not sure where to get my stuff, then I can make a recommendation. I usually also, if you're open to it, of course, I can also energetically test things for you too, so that it's most aligned to you, so you're not wasting money and time trying to figure out, which one works. And so then I will kind of create an action plan based on what we talked about and send that to you. And then if you have any questions and, need a little more support, then you can email me. So that's kind of how I do my hair analysis complete package, where you get a lot of support and my analysis. The lab report is really excellent and wonderful, but I like to give it my own little extra take and what kind of pops out. So one of the things I like to do is kind of look at the big picture and go for kind of the lower hanging fruits, the things that are easier to address first. Our bodies are so wise that if we start working on something, it'll shift everything else in one way or another. So just as an example, when I was working on myself, and I generally try to stick with maybe like 3, max 5 things that we start addressing. I think less is more. Every input is a signal to your body, so I'm incredibly careful we don't, kind of overburden your body or shock your body. So for example, when I was addressing my, low adrenal function, I started working there, and then I started seeing my mineral levels improve for my thyroid ratio. And I thought, wow, that's really interesting. I didn't do anything specifically for the thyroid. So, so again, different people approach hair analysis and utilize this information in different ways. And, it's really what aligns to you, what kind of approach do you want to take. And my approach, again, is just more of this bigger picture. I tend to focus more on the ratios, where we're looking at like the how's your adrenal, thyroid, blood sugar, hormone, how are they all functioning, and where's your weakest link. I'm kind of getting a feel for all of that, and there's definitely intuitive approach to that as well. And I tend to go for more of like a if you are kind of like double magnesium deficient and you're showing things related to that, okay, we might go with magnesium as one of the 3 or 4 items. But I try to support more of, like, let's say your adrenal function or thyroid function, whatever is needing the most support, versus there's, different train of thought, and there is no right or wrong. It's whatever you feel works for you and what approach you want to take. You can also go from the mineral directly and try to balance the minerals with, supplementing certain ones because some are lower, or whatever. I'm more like, okay, the body's incredibly wise. Let's give it the input to wherever it looks like it needs it most, and let's see what the body does. So Anyway, hope it was helpful. Have a beautiful day, and I will talk to you soon.